Welcome back, fellow armchair generals. This is Gamer1745 here with my continuing playthrough of Hearts of Iron 3 with Black Ice 9.11. And of course, we're playing as the German Reich. Okay, we've got a lot of allies here. Let's continue this. Now, I don't know if you hear me exhaling or not, but you've noticed Italy has expanded its controlled territories, and I'm not upset by this. This is good. They get sort of super Albania, but this is the problem here. I need a corridor to the sea to get resources out of here back to Germany, and even more importantly, get supplies. Now I went in and looked, doing a file scan, and I couldn't find. There's an event that gives a corridor to the sea here, and in this current version, and I don't know what event, because obviously before there was this territory all the way up to Teresti, that was all German. That's a bit too big, and I think the same event that gave the rest rewarding Italy took this corridor away from me. But there's another event that gives a corridor here for Germany that's not really well, it does give obviously political control, but I don't look at that. I just look at that as giving them railway control. And I can't see what fires it, because it says it's triggered only, meaning it doesn't have its own condition. Something else fires it. And I searched both the decision folder and the event folder. I couldn't see an event that fires this event, so I'm going to fire it manually. I'm not going to wait around for it. So yes, this might be cheating, but I don't think so. Now you guys can do this same thing. It's 1488.9, as maybe you can see in here. You hit the tilde, it brings up this, and you have to have cheats, quote unquote, enabled, and then you type in event and then the number, and it fires that. So either I missed it, or it's been edited somewhere, and I was looking at the original BICE file, so theoretically could have been edited even in not mine, I don't think, but in GGA or something. But I'm going to go, we want this, yes. So now we have a corridor here, 2 ports actually, so that we can run supplies out and resources back in from the Mediterranean. So look at that as temporary German control. Otherwise, Italy has expanded its borders, it's gotten split. At least Croatia still has something of a port. They've got a coastline. Now, I've seen maps that basically have a straight line. I doubt it was a perfectly straight line, but a straight line going through former Yugoslavia that sort of split these up between German sphere, the inland side, and Italian sphere. And there was definitely Croatia, and there was definitely, shall we say, 2 Croatian armies, maybe. Maybe overstating it. But there were Croatian units that were supplied with some Italian equipment and uniform, and there were some German ones. Now, once 43 rolls around and Italy surrenders, this is all taken over by Germany as administrative control. I don't know what would have been the final outcome. Mussolini wants his new Roman Empire, and as I said before, it seems that conquerors are always looking over the next horizon. And I mean Napoleon. I mean Hitler. You know, it just... if you got this big, you might as well try to get bigger. Now, another one was Alexander the Great. He was fighting Darius, the Persian emperor, and that was because of the historical precedent. They were invading Greece. His father sort of unifies Greece, and then he wants to sort of take out the Greek emperor I mean, not the Persian emperor, sort of settle things. Well, yeah, and so he gets the Persian Empire basically under his control. I don't know if he was really setting out to conquer the Persian Empire or simply defeat him and push back territory, but it becomes, well, how shall I put this? I'm not an Alexander expert, and I don't even know how well things are written. But Alexander, is winning some battles, and there's, again, stepping back, I hope this isn't totally uninteresting to you. The Persian Empire is very big. It's, very big. And there's no way Emperor Darius the second, the third, I don't know, sorry if I'm getting that wrong, can't run the whole thing himself. It's just too big. So long before this, they set up satraps. That's at least the way I was taught to pronounce it in my university schools, classes. And those were basically local governors, but they were virtually almost independent of what they could do within their satrap. Satrapies. Satrap is both a region and a title. And it was territory that was doled out to, be like this much territory, say, and there may be another one up here, and then there would be another one over here. And so they might be able to say, take on a local little Greek colony, an island, or a city state that's on the coast or something, and take it out and increase the rule that way. But they couldn't, take over neighboring satrap. And periodically the emperor, or the Persian emperor, would move them around so that they wouldn't become too strong in a locality, meaning create a lot of local networks and a local support, so that they relied upon the emperor for support, not the locality to give them support, so that they wouldn't become a threat to the emperor. That was an important thing. You do what the satrap says, because if you don't, the emperor will send, because they had their own local forces, but the emperor would send in, the immortals or other major Persian army units and crush a rebellion, whatever it might be. So you do what he says, but as soon as he says this guy's out of here, or he's fired, retired, fired, killed, whatever, you don't go in to support him, because he's lost his support, as opposed to having a lot of local, like maybe even generational, father, son, or whatever, build up a sort of an independent kingdom. So they were sort of internally independent. Now they had to fork over taxes and keep certain military road type situations open and have various duties. So if the emperor wants to move his army to go fight the Greeks again, it's all, pre-set up. And as long as you do what you're supposed to do, you sort of get to run yourself. There was very little administration from the central government of the different satraps. That's how it worked. So when Alexander comes over here, he wants to get revenge for the Greeks, and it's not just, ooh, I hate you, I want to kill you. That may be for the individual, but not to kill all Persians or anything. It was more to settle the situation so the Greeks aren't worried about, when's the next attack coming? Is it this year or is it in 10 years? When is it going to come? Because someday another Persian emperor is going to try again to get Greece. That was very much the thought in Greece. So the idea is to let's settle this. So obviously would we take away some satraps, either as recognized independent states, or maybe turned over to Alexander and then, have other border states or something. Because there's, the kingdom of Armenia, and other things that, depending on the situation, may or may not be satraps or whatever. But try to break up the Persian Empire somewhat. Well, Alexander's coming in, winning some battles, moving along the coast, the siege of Tyre here, somewhere along where, Tyre is somewhere. It was an island city that Alexander builds a pier out, an earthen pier out, which is still there to this day, connects it to the mainland and takes it. So he's getting support from the Greek Navy along the coast. That's part of the reason he's moving along the coast, and then comes, down into Egypt, sort of frees Egypt from Persian rule, comes back up here. Eventually, he defeats Darius. Now, through all this whole thing, Darius was never like, hey, yeah, let's, negotiate, because Alexander the Great's army is pitifully small compared to the overall Persian army, and isn't particularly huge compared to any one, shall we say, satrap's army. It was a lot better than any one satrap's army, and even when it fought, some, like Darius's, the big battle, I forget, maybe if I don't know, out here somewhere, maybe more up here, but, fights the big battle. He's way outnumbered, but the Persian army has large numbers and some really good units, but a lot of just units. So his Macedonian pikemen and other units really sort of are able to kick ass, and he, of course, identifies where Darius is. Hope I'm getting that name right. Not Xerxes. Pretty sure it's Darius. Yeah, pretty sure. Identifies where he is by his standard and charges, because he knows if he takes out him, the rest of the Persians sort of stop fighting. Well, Darius escapes, is eventually later caught and killed and whatnot. But so you don't have, so he doesn't have there's no break on his campaign, because if he's taking all these cities and Darius is still at war, if he retreats back to Greece, Darius is just going to snap back up these territories, and then eventually, probably in a few years, gets everything, because it's, once it retakes the territory. And the Persians have been pretty good about scheduling supply to be, at locations and things like that. Bring it to Izmir or wherever, so that the army's going to be there next year, so plan to have supplies there and all that stuff. So it would probably take a while, but he would have been coming for Alexander. Alexander might have beaten him again, and that might have been a strategy, but it would have sort of kind of looked like Alexander had been beaten, and there's a few things that might sort of indicate that Alexander doesn't have maybe clear-cut, or as clear-cut, of a mandate both in Greece, because Philip II, his father, was sort of a conqueror of Athens and Sparta and whatnot, and so they might revolt against Macedonian rule, which wouldn't be good, because he's relying upon them for lots of hoplites and other Greek warriors. As well as there's other potential rivals within Macedonia for Macedonian leadership if he looks like he's not doing well. Alexander was a pretty good leader. He probably at the right moment could have sold, hey, we're going to fall back, and let them come to us, and then we defeat them. But still, he's also a aggressive leader kind of thing. So he keeps pushing, and defeats Darius. So then he sort of ends up, after Darius is dead and gets Darius's wife and daughters and whatnot, ends up inheriting the Persian Empire, with a capital basically in, Babylon here, or is it more out here, not so much Tehran, I don't know, or multiple capitals. But if he doesn't come out and sort of like say hi to the people, they just might go, oh, we're now independent, or we're the new Persian emperor or whatever. So he's going around Persia. Well, this is all going fairly damn well. So he wants to go to the edge, he wants to solve this problem and just get to the edge of the civilized world, to India, because India is the, far edge of the world, and that's just around, the Indus River, which never got labeled on Alexi's map here. But, and so he sort of thinks that, yeah, India, it's like this big. That's it. That's really his sort of, may have some vague idea that China's out here somewhere too. But he really thinks, the Greeks really sort of think that not, because the Greeks understood the world was round. They thought it was smaller than it was, I think, from some of the calculations in Egypt that they've since found, but that would probably had been known by, the Alexandria Library later, after Alexander's death, but probably would have been known by some of the great thinkers. But the Egyptians had calculated the size of the earth, and it was smaller than it is the way that what they calculated. Remember, the Egyptians are primarily a landlocked people, so they're not maybe good at spotting horizons and figuring things out and calculating stuff. But the Greeks knew the world was round, knew that there was sort of potentially likely and maybe very exotically, China. They may have even thought China was an island. And you remember, even though the Greeks are over here and stuff, there are traders coming up through here. So people are trading through here from India, Indus. And so they're not necessarily getting very good information. And so they may think and hear about islands and hear about other stuff. They may think that there's just wondering these things, there's a defending. Who are they defending? Oh, I think there was an outbreak here of Chinese. I wonder if they somehow messed the province number up. See, because I'm seeing this, it looks like it's a Chinese partisan event thingy, but I don't know. Because these are Chinese held and not just rebel held. Whatever. So back to Alexander. So he wants to, sort of, well, we might as well get India too, and comes here. And so the Greeks know that there's more than this, but they sort of kind of think that this is the edge of this sort of, I don't know, greater continent, greater whatever. Now, of course, he doesn't realize that it keeps going and going and going, and so he's getting past Indus and having trouble. So yeah, he's expanding out because of the he's conquering, conquering Afghanistan, which really isn't part of Persian Empire. And so he's pushing, and he knows this, but eventually he does halt. Well, he doesn't halt. His soldiers halt him for him, basically revolt, saying, hey, we love you, but we've been, where's the end of this? And so he eventually, decides to conquer his way down here and back this way. That was a bit of a disaster almost, and whatever, and then dies. But, so, conquerors seem to expand. So what would Mussolini have done? And I know I've talked about this in the Mussolini series, but it's not as watched as this series. I don't know what he would have done, but he's definitely willing to, and very much, not just, because, okay, we can say fascism, let's say in Romania, that's, or Hungary. They were mostly wanting to sort of have a fairly big and powerful country, and sort of united along like Hungarian lines or Romanian lines. And that's sort of kind of it, They're not really looking at taking Bulgaria or taking Turkey or taking, they're sort of, they're fascist, but hey, we're going to hang out here. Now, of course, with Romania and Hungary, where's the border? Is, this part of Transylvania? Should it be Romania? Should it be Hungary? I'm sure there's, kind of, they're not agreeing upon this. Obviously, Germans enforce this settlement. Germany's going to give back this, and then plus, at least to like this river, basically, here, to create, sort of compensate Romania, and then allow, what's this port here? Whatever. Probably, Odessa probably would have been, well, who knows what Hitler would have eventually said. But Crimea and the rest of Ukraine, Hitler definitely wanted. Hitler definitely wanted the great bulk of here. But, so not all fascist, or semi-fascist. Portugal, the new state, is it fascism? Is it nationalism? I'm not sure. Spain, Franco is definitely a nationalist. He's not looking for conquering everywhere. Sure, he might want to pick up a few more colonial, along the coast here. But he's not looking for, taking half of France and moving, no. It's just going to be here. That's good, and he's going to be happy with that. Now, of course, he's not a fascist, he's a nationalist. But that's sort of how I look at it. But Mussolini, with his fascism, is looking for a new Roman Empire. He would love Corsica. He would love, this sort of back and forth parts of France down here in Italy. He wants more islands, wants Greece. So he probably really wants to own the coastline of, the Adriatic here. Now, how far in, I don't know. And he's much more of a guy that is willing to rule over subject peoples that will be part of the Roman Empire, the new Roman Empire, and have, I don't know if equal citizenship, but full citizenship within it. And definitely wants to, have these people learn Italian, learn to be good Roman citizens. Definitely nowhere near the racism of National Socialist Germany. Very much not. I'm sure now, you see some pictures of like the tour of Hitler and Mussolini around Italy, and it's not just in Rome, but around, and they have, some of the pictures that shows a bunch of like African tribal chiefs, from probably Muslims from Eritrea and Somalia and whatnot. I'm sure they probably felt superior to them just as people. The Vichy actually even has a carrier. That's why they wanted the carrier planes, because they have a carrier. Wow. They've got a carrier. Cool. So, I'm sure there's some level of racism. It's just sort of the way people were then, but I don't see them as anything like Nazis, and they probably like, just Europeans kind of thingy. We have to understand people in their time and in their context, and judge them to some degree within that. That doesn't mean what they did in the past is right, but it's just the way they saw the world. So people back then were this sort of vague, my race, whatever that is better than yours. And it can even be seen in the sort of, shall we say, Rastafarian, if I have understanding, black Rastafarianism that sort of wanted to see sort of superiority and often looking towards Ethiopia as some sort of black superiority thing, So it's, but that isn't necessarily, that's just, because I'm a culturalist. I look at people's cultures. I grew up in Southern California, met people of all kinds of races that have very similar cultures to me, and they have very similar attitudes and capabilities. So I really see people as a cultural thing, not as a racial thing. And, and that's because of my bringing up. So I'm a culturalist. I judge large groups of people based on their culture. Again, that's large groups of people, not individuals. I judge individuals as individuals, but large groups of people based on their culture. So that's how I see it. But if you just grew up and everybody who's Italian is one way and everybody who's African is another way, you might presume it's primarily racism, the race. And so I judge, I don't judge them harshly in the past for those views. That's different than the Nazis who wanted to eliminate bad races. That's a very different thing. And it just is. It's a very different thing. Again, that doesn't mean I agree with their racism. It just understanding it is that's the way that they were educated. That's what they knew. They just didn't know any better. And people, I know, still have these views. And I don't mean to hate racism. That's different than like the Ku Klux Klan. We hate these other people. It's just like, and I always get the idea that yes, you like your own type better. And what like is a different matter than think you're superior to or whatever. That there's liking your own whatever, your own type of music, your own type of food, your own type of race, whatever, better than others. That's a different thing. Liking yourself and your group, your greater extended family, more than you like other people, that's different than hate groups. So that's sort of the difference, and that's something that a lot of modern youth don't understand, having sort of prejudices in that way. Because I'm definitely, I don't like a lot of exotic food, so I'm sort of prejudiced against exotic foods, and some of those will be European foods, some of them will be Asian foods, and so it's not because they're Asian, it's just because they're not types of food that I like. Now maybe if I tried a bunch of other stuff, I might end up liking it, but because I've tried some of it, I sort of get prejudiced against sort of some types of food. Like I don't like spicy foods, so I'm prejudiced against really spicy foods. I like the spice, but just a little bit, kind of thing, So prejudice itself isn't necessarily a bad thing. It's gamer philosophizing. Some of you like it, but I go on a bit too much. So let's get back. Okay, division HQs have advanced. Okay, and we're doing 42 text, so we're going to push forward our doctrines in this case. Assault guns. Now this is an attack. This is a tech, I should say, and so that's grayed out. Good. Yeah, more heart attack, more piercing, or at least, well, more piercing is going to come by here. Well, maybe. Yeah, let's do medium gun instead of going to shifting over to tank destroyers. And shipbuilding technologies have advanced, and I think we're going to continue this. Yeah, the 42s. We're just going to continue these guys. And U-boat section building advance. It's also here. We're going to continue those. And oh, tank destroyer upgrade. That is here, one and done. So that still leaves us with a little bit. Short barreled HE, toughness, max speed. Don't know why toughness goes down. Max speed, I sort of get either heavier ammo or more ammo, or I don't know, but I do. You know, I get some of this kind of stuff. But it's still a short barrel, not a long barrel. We're not adding longer barrels. I understand it's also there's game balance and things like that to some of these decisions they're making. So I'm not in any way saying wrong, just saying, I don't know. Okay, oh, I think I wanted them for... Sometimes I have these sort of single battalions that or brigades or whatever. I know exactly what they're for, and then by the time they're done being built, I'm going, what did I want with them? Okay, we're rebuilding this, and I had... Okay, these guys are coming up to add to that too. We're going to have a pretty... Guderian's going to get a promotion to something else, but we're going to have a kick-ass core HQ there with that armored support regiment that I didn't want to lose. Expensive unit. And I want it to be effective. We are also creating because it's a smaller support battalion, heavy armor, French heavy armor, but heavy armor unit here we're sending over. I think, have they showed up yet? Nope, we're sending over some HQs to do that. Okay, to hub, so we're winning out there. Range finding equipment. Okay, our artillery's getting better. Yay. We can know how far away the enemy is. Airborne mix support. We'll push for that first. And oh, bombing sites. Avionics. Yeah. And that. Let's do self-propelled A. In case we want to do that. More stuff upgraded. Good. Still the 6 and the rolling battalion. Don't know where I want to use that yet. Okay, we're moving that way well. Now let's look at Saudi Arabia. We are on their border now. Okay. And they're pretty damn close to us. Invite to faction. Okay, that's too far away, probably because the British are still on their border enough. But let's start influencing them. I think we will. Well, hold it. Ask for transit rights. Unlikely. Okay, so we'll start influencing the nation. Yes. And let's see about Iraq. Is that Iraq there? Yes. So they're actually even closer. So let's influence that nation. Good. use up some of this and get it down, and then we'll start moving some more leadership over to there. Yeah, that Chinese partisan may have been a mistake throwing it there. But hey, we defeated them. Support attack. Yeah, you're organized enough. You support that attack too. We've got Rommel coming with his forces. There's gonna be these guys over here that are gonna free the Suez up. Yeah, what tech was that? Oh, artillery carriage. And again, if you don't already know, these aren't showing up on the screen just because they're too long for the height or something. What I think that is heavy AA guns. That'll be really important when we get to Russia. Heavy field equipment is somewhat important, but just looking around so I don't. These guys will be soon. Kraken Prime Mover, those help all those organizations. They don't help them move faster. They keep them more organized. Yeah. Well, they also, so some units get speed bonuses. That's nice. Yeah, let's do that. Oh. We're supporting the attack. Good. Got the... We're defending. I guess we're defending. They're all attacking good. Now... ground attack here. Can our Dukas make it as well? Yes. Love that camel, it's a cool image. Archibald Revolver. Man, we can shit. Better utilization. Gotta get that supply flowing. Okay, you're still having supply problems. Or organization problems, I should say. Yeah, that's too far out here and they need supply. That's why they don't have any organization, because no supply. Yes, you may have metal Vichy. Okay, good, we've won there. So we're going to get supply soon. Hoping, well, we've got a bunch of forces I've sort of reorganized here. Give you a quick look. There's the former West Wall Army that maybe should be renamed, maybe I should say, Atlantic Wall Army. A lot of units out there, you know, holding the coastline here. Then we have the Sicherheitsdienst, well, not really these, it's Reich Sicherheitsdienst Hauptamt. Is a bit above it, but the higher SS und Policeführer, who's commanding the police here. And then we have the military Befehl. I know that's an anachronism, but Frankreich, which includes this sort of northern part, is actually run out of Belgium, so it includes the rest of France. Do we not have a unit out here? Yeah. Why isn't it? Oh, you're somehow got attached to the Fury U-boat. Oh no, this is... Oh, that's what the problem is. Okay, sorry, we got that sort of messed up, didn't we? Okay, that is supposed to be the Fjord of your boat. These guys, I just attached them to the wrong HQ. They should be attached here. Wow, I did that wrong, didn't I? Not that that's a big problem, but I just saw West Frankreich or Frankreich. I was attaching them, so there we go. That's correct. So there's the full up garrison army for France. And we have a few divisions here, or a few corps around here that are, these guys, sort of waiting if there's going to be a counter invasion here that we can attach to things. But so we've got that. And so the Frankreich, we've got some Luftwaffe support. There's the police. And that's all set up here. And we got a few various, well, these guys, they should move across the border to there. A few various SS units around, keeping revolt risk down, as we can sort of see. Revolt risk, this is a minimum thing from that Belgium inflation thing or something. And, oh, we have these guys up here. Okay, we need to send that way. Deal with partisan outbreak there, it looks like. We're finally getting our troops out of Sweden, because I don't think we're going to see invasions from Sweden, and gonna move those guys eventually too. Because I was able to leave most of their forces intact, including much of their navy, and I like those 3 coastal battleships and destroyer and 2 light cruisers. Those like the destroyers and light cruisers will really help with anti-submarine capability, and because I'm thinking of once we still have those liners good and more subs, just so if they want to move forces around. Mostly to get their navy operating in the Baltic. I'm thinking of having them join the war once we get ready for the Soviet Union. But until then, I just figure might as well keep them out, because there's not too much they're going to do. But they do have a fair amount of units, specifically. Because when I'm battling Greece or Yugoslavia, I know those nations are going to disappear. So I'm battling those units to maybe increase skill levels here, you know, how many stars a unit has, but more so trying to increase the skill level of the leaders. But since I was puppeting them, any units remaining, once you puppet them, they get to keep, and that is a useful thing. The stronger they are, the better. Because presumably they're going to be moving units around, or we're building some more units too. Okay. Now, been doing okay. Okay. Now, okay, so it's going to be these French AT guns. Probably should rename them somewhere, something else sometime. No, not that. This captured. There we go. R. Okay, well, that's a better name for him. We can, well, von Kiefer. Put him in charge of it. Nice semi-regiment motorized. No, we're gonna go von Kiefer. Name. Find the Vons. Von Kiefer right there, right in the center. So, and we're getting some headquarters coming. Pull them from units over here. They're going to get the units, the infantry divisions are going to get these headquarters. The other ones are moving there. Looks like some of 3 of them there. 4 total are moving. Okay, depth charges. Oh, allows research of the hedgehog. Okay. Recently, or currently, when I'm reading some more World War II naval fiction, British based, but I've read some stuff in the past. Of course, I guess you guys know Sonar is when you send out an and or ASDIC. That's what sonar is what the Americans call it, sort of based off radar, but sound radar sonar. ASDIC is the British name for it. I don't know what other nations call it. If you want to post below, that'd be cool. Is when you send out a sound wave, a ping, out in the water, and then you wait for its echo to come back to try to find things. The other way that they did was simply just underwater listening basically mostly for propeller noises, but also engine noises. Those are two different things. Submarines, when they're under the water, fully under the water, can't run on diesel engines. They run on batteries. Battery engines are basically silent. You hear the propeller moving through the water mostly. Now, of course, you can bang on the. Talking doesn't normally do it, but banging on the wall or making other hard noises within the submarine, you can hear things. So those are sort of the two main ways for attack. To generally find submarines, you also use like HFDUF. That's the high frequency or whatever direction finding is, listening, and once you hear a radio signal, trying to find the direction of it, from where you are, and then somebody else is listening from another location, to triangulate on it. So that's sort of like bigger. And then radar, of course, is sort of bigger, on surfaces, trying to find submarines. But so when you attack a submarine, you think you sort of kind of locate where it may be below you. And even with layers, because water will come in different densities, different salinity levels, ocean waters, and at different temperature levels, which is often what affects these different things. And sound will actually go down and then bounce off a layer of water, multiple layers of water. So you might just be just a little below in some, different. And you don't in submarines, because at least in the old submarines, I don't know for the new ones, they don't have, thermometers sitting on the outside telling you, and other information telling you what the layers are. So you don't necessarily know, but things can sort of, be indecisive or unclear of just what you're hearing and just where it is and things like that. So you sort of kind of think you know where the enemy is. You charge at that location before they can move away, and then you drop depth charges. And as you do that, you can't know where the enemy is anymore, because the enemy can turn right or left. And they sort of know that you're coming, and as you get close to them, even before the depth charges, they can do a burst of speed and maybe dive, maybe turn right or left or whatever, but go in a different direction and get out from under your depth charge attacks. But as you're going, even before you're able to launch the attacks, they can get out of the zone possibly. But even if they don't get out of the zone and you don't kill them, you've totally lost where they are. You've got to swing the ship, because even if you have sort of rotating sound or whatever, which some of the ships did later in detection, you've just blown up a bunch of noise there, which also creates bubbles, and the bubbles disrupt all sound going on. So you lose where that sub is. So you got to turn the ship around, wait for the bubbles to sort of kind of clear, and then come back at it. Well, as both the Italians and the British, because the Italians were dealing with it in the Mediterranean, they had tried to use two, when they could, two attacking vessels. One to attack, but the other one to sort of sit back and keep a location where they think the submarine is under observation, and so keep and tell them, okay, right now release your depth charges, because, and then maybe if it's getting closer or further away, some guidance. And so two vessels were better than one. Well, I think it was an American invention, but the Hedgehog is that they would throw, and if you don't, and also if you go slow, also as you approach the target, if you go fast, your engine noise, and now this isn't the sonar that pings off of things, but I don't know how much that's disrupted, but the listening engine noise, listening to where the submarines are, that's gone, because your engines are going fast. That just makes too much noise. It drowns out, at least around where the boats, small ships, small ships are, drowns out once you go on there. But if you don't go fast enough, you'll blow the back of your especially the lighter vessels off, even because you need to get out of the area where the depth charges are going to blow up, because they create a big pressure wave. It wants to go to the least resistance, which is straight up. So all that force is coming straight up. So you've got to get out of the depth charge zone fast enough. And the shallower the depth charges is, obviously, the quicker you've got to get out of there. But you've got to get out of there. So you've got to create a lot of noise, which disrupts things. And that's why, if you can keep it with the sonar pings from somebody else that's further away, they can see what's going on better as you're approaching. Now, with a Hedgehog, if you're looking at, most of the sound detection is looking out in front of you, so you can go much faster than the submarine can go, but slow enough to keep the noise down on your own propellers, and approach the enemy subs, and then shoot a bunch of basically mortar bombs, a lot of small ones, out in front of you, or to your left and right a bit, depending on how you want to aim the thing, because there's various aiming capabilities, including moving the ship on different things. Because you throw this barrage out there, and they hit the water, and they go down, and they're basically contact, and they're enough of a spread on it that one or more of them are going to hit, and if they do, they're going to put a hole in the submarine. Maybe not destroying the submarine, but flooding a compartment that they hit. And so it depends on where you hit on it. It may be a compartment that they can seal off and whatnot and be okay, but maybe not. But may force them to the surface. So you get a few of these things that eventually they're going to have to come to the surface. So it may or may not destroy them. Depends on the situation and where it's hitting and what's going on. Now, obviously, if 2 or 3 of the mortar bombs come down and hit, then you're probably going to destroy that submarine. So the Hedgehogs were a great improvement over it, and I think it was an American. It was definitely an Allied, British or American, that developed the Hedgehog. I don't know if the Germans ever got them. Of course, early on, I'm sure they were secret, but over time, I figure small warfare. Yes, okay, 43. So that's a little too soon now. We'll wait till we're into 42 before we do that. But that, you can see, sub-attacking efficiency just rockets up. See, this is total. Well, some of these are pretty big, but that'll rocket it right up. Okay, and what is that? Submarine head too far in advance? Yes, depth charges. Don't know how far they expect us to play in the game to keep moving these things forward, but okay. Well, I guess we should see about starting to improve our small ships. Okay, let's put out these guys here. How big of their base is that? 4. Yeah. Bottom. And attach them to Fighter Command. I know Britain was one relatively small island, so it just, had to fight. It had, because you can go on different parts and they had different commands, in Egypt or Middle East or whatever, larger geographical areas. I presume later Mediterranean once they're starting to move into Italy. But at home it was Fighter Command, Bomber Command, and Coastal Command. Now, just because I don't want to lose units, we're doing it this way. Yeah. Okay, that's good. And let's see if we can get a nice maneuverability kind of guy here. No, not tanks. Yeah, there we go. There we go. And another. These are some of our reinforced well, with rockets. Extra artillery. Okay, so let's see. What are we looking? We're now looking at. Oh, we have an 87 division. 87th. Probably just. Now, Eckenstein's been wanting a command for a long time. Guess that's how you pronounce his name. Well, I think we're going to give it because he is a fortress buster, and although this isn't necessary, we may change that. Doesn't necessarily a pure design fortress busting division, but with that rocket artillery and engineers and river crossing, that's going to be a good division for that type of work. Saying that, let's move it to here. Bulgaria, yes, you may have energy. Okay, you're getting pounded. And smash overrun. Sniper warfare. Oh, yeah, this one. I guess that's the one that is too far in advance now. Yeah, 43. Well, we've sort of been improving our artillery capabilities here. We could do rockets. That would be good. Medium brigades. Yeah, let's do rockets. Don't have a lot, but we're getting a few more, and we want them to be devastating. Completely and totally devastating. Hungary. Oh, lots of energy. Sure, go ahead. Bring mud clears. Well, no, we're not going into Russia right now. It does affect other places, but not nowhere we're actively fighting. IFF transponder. I think that is a one and done. Avionics, yeah. Okay, well. Larger for heavy bomber. Well, don't have. Well, we have a few, but don't know if air detection is a real consideration. Night equipment. Okay, so we want that. As soon as we get into 42, we're going to go with that. That'll help, particularly the big, heavy twin engine things, but other things as well. Just get these guys going. And home front coordination. Is that this one? Yeah. I don't want to push too far ahead on this right now. Just well, supply throughput just always throws me. Yeah, we'll improve our battleship capabilities. Okay, you're here, so now you guys come to there. Oh, pause. You want to, no, here, I'm hitting the wrong key. There we go. Come up that way. Actually, you'd be faster just going that way. We want to get both sides of this fully under our control. They should be moving their carrier out of the... Oh, they're wanting to come back and take that. Well... Motorized HQs. How's advanced? Good. Let's do some more of those, but not motorized. Motorized SS. And yeah, I'm going to take it. Don't know if I'll need these, but I'm taking them. A little bit of manpower hurts a bit. Yes, you can have some metal. What is out here? Well, maybe we'll see soon. No. The submarine spot them. Take them out. Envoy engaged. Oh, well, no, looks like the Vichy French are. But now they're not at war right now, I don't think. Maybe transporting troops to some of their colonies. Okay, anti-air upgrade. I think that was here. No, I don't think it was. Tory, I think. Don't know where that was. Maybe even that. Guess that was that. Okay, yeah, that's it. Level 4. Level 4, so that's good. Yeah, let's do that. Where do we have another semi-motorized regiment? Ready? Still not there yet. Okay, well. Okay, and okay, you can keep the command. Looks more like a World War I uniform. No wonder the old guard. But you can keep that command. This will give us a unit that is somewhat quick. Just the terrain right now is giving us for that test a little bit of trouble here. This guy needed transport, so to send these light vehicles to help that out. Maybe not the best possible option, but it'll work. Yeah, not maybe the best possible. Yeah, we're losing a little bit down here. I had one unit that stopped playing because it was all up. Okay, yeah. Go after them. Yeah. Support that attack. Oh good, we're sort of getting our upgrades under control. You support an attack there if they decide to attack. Yeah, okay, they're still all coming. These guys are coming too. Okay, oh, stop. Naval underway replenishment, which allows us to do marine activation, which will then allow us to do landing craft, proper landing craft. Why we're getting, I mean, not that increased range is a bad thing, that's a very good thing, but that wasn't the main reason why we were doing that. Okay, well, we can start on all these, but let's get that done so we can get to that. Okay, and I think we're going to end the episode here. I want to thank everybody for watching. I want to thank you for liking the videos. I really do appreciate that. And, of course, please post questions, comments, suggestions, ideas. Love hearing from you. See you next time for more Hearts of Iron.